Hi, everyone. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
We are today April 12th. That's page 39 in your April magazine. The title is Research Reveals Octopuses' Smart Thinking in Their Quest to Survive.
我们的中文标题是大惊奇，美国加州外海发现全球最大章鱼花园。那这个当然里面标题里面的 Octopuses 就是章鱼，reveals 就是显露。那 research reveals 就是这个研究显示的意思。那 smart thinking 就是聪明的思考。那 in their quest to survive 就是在他们求生存的这个过程当中 ，quest 就是追求 ，survive 是生存。在他们追求生存的过程当中，他们展露出来的 smart thinking.
Okay, I'll read through today's lesson. We have 3 long paragraphs for you today. In 2018, researchers exploring an inactive volcano below the ocean off the coast of California were amazed when they caught sight of 20 pearl octopuses crowded together in a small crevice. Why were so many of these usually lone creatures gathering so closely together? The team then expanded their search to 823 acres of the seafloor, and their count of the octopuses quickly grew to an amazing 20,000. The scientists had discovered the largest of the world's 4 known octopus gardens. It took another 12 visits and constant surveillance by a remote-controlled robot to find out the mystery of these mollusks' activity. The researchers pieced together thousands of time-lapse photos to finally shed light on the phenomenon. Using sensors to measure temperature, the researchers found the water around these octopus gatherings was between 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. However, less than a meter away, temperatures dropped to 1.6 degrees C. This significant temperature difference was due to nearby hydrothermal springs. The females were laying eggs on rocks in the warmer water and guarding them until they hatched. Further observation revealed that the young from these eggs hatched in less than 2 years, a sharp contrast to the typical 5 to 8 years required in colder conditions. This warmer environment greatly increases their chances of survival. These octopus nesting sites also benefit other marine animals. As with most species of octopus, the male pearl octopuses die shortly after mating. Their bodies become a rich food source for fish, shrimp, and sea stars in this thriving ecosystem. Dr. Berry, who led the research team, believes there are more deep-sea octopus habitats. While one garden is protected, others may be at risk from human activities. He stresses the value of these spots and the need to prevent damage to these gardens.
Okay, so in 2018, researchers exploring an inactive volcano below the ocean off the coast of California were amazed when they caught sight of 20 pearl octopuses crowded together in a small crevice. So what were they doing? They were looking at a volcano that was inactive. That means it's not currently throwing hot rock off of it. That doesn't mean that it's dead. Dead volcanoes means there's no chance of hot rock coming out of it ever again. Inactive just means currently it's not erupting. And so this volcano was below the ocean, and it was off the coast of California. This is how we say that it's in the area of the sea that's near California. It's off the coast of California. And they were amazed, these scientists, researchers, were kind of like surprised when they caught a glimpse of, they briefly saw 20 pearl octopuses squished together, crowded together in a small crevice. A crevice is a crack. So like here was this little tiny like shallow cave and all these octopuses were jammed in there together.
好，所以在2018年的时候 researchers 一些研究人员，什么样的研究人员呢？后面 exploring 一直到 California 都是修饰这个 researchers。所以这些研究人员在干嘛呢？他是什么样的研究人员呢？是 researchers exploring， 他们在探测 an inactive volcano。 这个所谓的 inactive volcano 就是休眠的火山，也可以称为休火山，休息的休。所以他们在探测一个休眠的火山。那这个火山是哪里呢？是 below the ocean， 是在海洋底下，就在海洋水底下的这样的一个休眠火山。而且这个 ocean 这个海洋是 off the coast of California， 是加州外海海洋下的一个休火山。他们在探索这个休火山，这样的一群 researchers， 他们怎么样呢？ They were amazed， 他们很惊讶。 When they， 当他们 caught sight of， to catch sight of， 现在是就是 to see something 或者 someone， 通常是 very briefly 或者是 suddenly， 所以 they caught sight of， 他们看到了20只 pearl Octopuses， 就是这个珍珠章鱼，他们 crowded together， crowd 在这里是动词， get together 或者 gather in a limited space， 在一个很有限的地方聚集在一起，叫 crowded。 所以他们看到这20只章鱼 crowded together in a small crevice， 在一个小小的裂缝当中， crevice 就是裂缝的意思， a narrow crack 或者是 opening。Why
were so many of these usually lone creatures gathering so closely together? Octopuses are one of many animals that prefer a lot of distance between themselves and other denizens of the deep, other octopuses or fish or sharks and so on. They like to live more or less alone, and alone, when we use it as an adjective, is simply lone.And if that's the case, then why are all these octopuses hanging or gathering so closely together when we would expect them normally? One's over there and one's way over there, and they may be very hard to find. But in this case, it looked like a thick group of these octopuses.
Octopus party.
好像在开舞会那种感觉。所以为什么有这么多的这种 these， 就这些 usually 通常他们是 lone creatures。 lone 就是独来独往， solitary solitary。 为什么这些平常独来独往的这些生物，为什么会有这么多 gathering 聚集？ gather 在这里也是 to come together in a group 的意思，或者 assemble assemble。好，为什么会有这么多聚集 so closely together？ 这不但聚集在一起，而且是彼此非常的靠近， closely 靠得很近。
The team then expanded their search to 823 acres of the sea floor. How big is an acre in Taiwanese terms? I've never figured out the relationship.
Neither have I.
家
亩
mu?
Yeah, but how many mu to the acre, how many acre to the mu is something I've never worked
Use
out.
your dictionary and look it up.
Ask your teacher.
Or come to my house.
Or come to Wesley's house for an octopus party.
No, to see how big is an acre.
It's not that big. He's got a very tiny house. Or are you saying the living room is 1 acre?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Anyways, 123 acres of the seafloor. It is a piece of the seafloor, okay? And in this area of the seafloor, their count of the octopuses quickly grew to an amazing 20,000. And that is an amazing number because, wow, you just don't normally see that many octopuses together. And so this is an octopus garden, and there's only 4 known in the world, which we find out next sentence.
那所以这一个团队呢，他们就 expanded， 他们扩大 extend extend 或者是 expand， 那他们扩大了他们的这个 search， 就他们的搜索，扩大到823英亩的这个海床的 sea floor。然后呢 and their count of the octopuses， 这 count 在这里就是指他们所算出来的数字 the number reached by counting， 他们算出来的章鱼数字呢 quickly grew to， 很快的就成长到一个什么样的数字呢？所以 an 什么样的再加一个数字，中间就加一个形容词，所以 an amazing 20,000 就是一笔让你很惊讶的2万这样的一个数字。所以换句话说，这个非常多的823英亩里面，他们发现了2万只的这个章鱼。
You could also use this in the negative. You could say a horrifying 16 or something like that.
也可以加个负面的一个形容词，一个让人很惊讶的这个16个什么什么东西，很恐怖的。
The scientists had discovered the largest of the world's 4 known octopus gardens.
So an octopus garden is like a kindergarten, but for octopuses.
Yeah. Yep, they live together, and apparently they have to get along or they wouldn't be together.
No. The point of it is this is where they raise their babies. An octopus garden is where the kids are born and kind of raised.
啊，所以这个地方呢，这个名称很有趣哈。他说，这个科学家呢，在这一次他们发现了最大的一个，世界上有4个已知的这个 Octopus Gardens，4个已知的最大的章鱼花园里面呢，他们发现了最大的一个。那这个地方 Octopus Gardens， 我们当然直接翻成章鱼花园，但这个 Gardens 其实跟那 Kindergarten 那个意思概念是一样的，也就是说，这个是章鱼他们在抚育或者是这个抚育小章鱼的地方。
So it took another 12 visits by the researchers and constant surveillance by a remote-controlled robot. Hi, we're going to put a remote-controlled surveillance robot into your garden. Have fun. But they did this to find out the mystery of these mollusks' activity. And I am today years old when I realized that octopuses are mollusks. They're basically the same guys as in the shells, but they're not in a shell.
Yeah.
So interesting.Yeah,
所以呢 it took another 12 visits, 所以他们又去了12次，等于说 took 就需要，他们后来需要又再去12次，还需要什么 constant surveillance 持续的监测， surveillance 就是监测，用什么监测呢 by 用一个 remote controlled 用遥控控制的一个 robot 一个机器人来遥控监测，要需要这么多东西，又去了12次，还持续的用一个遥控机器人来监测，才能够 find out 才能够找出来，能够知道 to gain knowledge of 或者 to learn the mystery of these 这些什么东西的神秘的 mystery 就是这个谜，让我们知道这些 mollusk就是软体动物，所以让我们知道也在这一指就是章鱼，所以还需要这么多才让我们了解到章鱼他们到底在干什么。
The researchers pieced together thousands of time-lapse photos to finally shed light on the phenomenon. So probably from their trusty little robot, they were able to maybe put a TV camera in it or a regular camera. Time-lapse photos will be pictures that are taken over periods of time. And there were lots of octopuses in the garden, and they wanted to understand the phenomenon of why these octopuses, unlike the usual octopuses, stayed together.Now, that's an unusual occurrence of something, and in science, we often call that sort of thing a phenomenon.
一个现象 phenomenon 通常是蛮不寻常的，所以这些研究人员呢 pieced together 就是拼凑拼接 thousands of 数千张的这个 time-lapsed photos 就是缩时的摄影，所以拼接的数千张的缩时摄影的 photos 才终于能够 shed light on 就是使人更了解 shed light on to clarify or help people understand something 才让他们更了解这个现象。
So using sensors, little machines that can measure things, in this case to measure temperature, the researchers found that the water around these octopus gatherings was between 5 to 10 degrees Celsius.
好，所以呢，他们用 sensors 用感测器来测量温度，那这是个分词构句，主词是 the researchers， 就这些研究人员用探测器来测量温度，他们发现在章鱼的 gatherings， 在章鱼的这些群聚附近的水温呢，大概是摄氏5到10度
Which conveniently is from 41 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. However, less than a meter away,temperatures drop to 1.6 C. Well, remember, C, the unit of measurement, is larger than F. So 1.6 will probably be about 2.5 degrees Fahrenheit, less than this. And that's how much the temperature dropped as they moved away from these crevices.
好，所以呢，有章鱼群聚的地方，水温大概是5到10度，但是呢 ，less than a meter away， 不到1公尺远的地方呢，温度就会 dropped to 降到 1.6 度，所以温差非常大。
So this meaningful temperature difference was due to nearby hydrothermal springs. So hydro is water and thermal is heat. So basically this octopus garden is situated in a hot spring.
那这一个 significant 这个很显著的 temperature difference 就是温度上的差别 was due to 是由于什么呢 nearby 就是附近的 not far away close at hand 附近的这个 hydrothermal 那 hydro 就是 水 thermal 就是热，所以就是 hydrothermal 就是热水的 springs 这个涌泉，所以海底有这个水热涌泉，所以热热的水的涌泉。
The females were laying eggs on rocks in the warmer water and guarding them until they hatched. Well, whether it's warm or cool or cold water, female octopuses have to lay their eggs, and usually on rocks or in holes in rocks, but they prefer warmer water because they have to guard them, they have to protect them. Fish love to eat other animals' eggs.
Well, everybody loves to eat other animals' eggs.
We do too. Until they hatched, they were guarded by the mothers of all these eggs.
好，所以下蛋或者产卵就是 lay eggs， 所以这些 females 这里指当然是母章鱼。母章鱼会在石头上面产卵，那这个是在 in the warmer water， 在比较温暖的水当中的这个石头上面产卵，然后会 guarding them， 会守卫 them， 就是指这些 eggs until they hatched， 一直到它们孵化为止。
So what's crazy about this is that octopuses are not like chickens. Chickens are like, 3 weeks and something like that until the eggs hatch? Here, octopuses usually require 5 to 8 years to hatch the egg. So the mom has to just hang out for 5 to 8 years hoping that this egg and guarding it. That's a big job. But so further observation by these scientists in this little hot spring garden, this big hot spring garden, revealed that the young from these eggs hatched in less than 2 years. That is a much lower cost to the parent or to the mother in terms of getting your young out there. And it is a sharp contrast to the typical 5 to 8 years required in colder conditions. So you can make more octopuses faster.
Yeah, 所以呢，这里各位注意到这个很常见的一个语块，就是 further observation revealed that， 进一步的观察显示，就 further observation revealed that， 进一步的观察显示呢 ，the young 就是指小章鱼 from these eggs， 这些蛋里面的小章鱼呢 hatched， 它们孵化是 in less than 2 years， 不到2年就能孵化出来了。然后呢，同位语which is 省略掉了 which is a sharp contrast to， 那各位把这个记起来 a sharp contrast to something 就是强烈的对比，这个 sharp 在这里是 clearly defined 的意思 distinct D-I-S-T-I-N-C-T， 所以这是一个很强烈的对比，跟什么对比呢？跟 the typical 典型的或者通常的5到8年 required 所需要的叫做 which is required 所需要的这个5到8年，通常所需要的5到8年，在 colder conditions 在比较冷的条件或者在比较冷的情况之下所需要的5到8年。换句话说，在这些温暖的这个地方所产下的这些小章鱼呢，不到2年就孵化了。那这是跟什么成为强烈的对比呢？跟通常在比较冷的情况之下所需要的孵化时间是5到8年，所以这是2年，不到2年比5到8年当然是个强烈的对比 ，a sharp contrast.
Well, as Angela pointed out, this warmer environment greatly increases their chances of survival. It helps the octopus to continue generation after generation. Instead of sitting and waiting 5 to 8 years, up to 2 years is much faster, so they can produce more generations in less time.
好，那这个比较温暖的环境 the warmer 或者 this warmer environment greatly increases 大大增加了他们的 chances of survival 存活的几率，叫做 chances of survival.
Okay, so these octopus nesting sites also benefit other marine animals because it is an ecosystem. When one species does well, other species also do well.
好 nesting site 就是筑巢的地点，所以这些章鱼的筑巢地点也怎么样 benefit other marine animals， 也会对于其他的海洋生物带来益处 benefit 就是带来益处，它是个及物动词在这里。
As with most species of octopus, the male pearl octopuses die shortly after mating. So after the male seeks and finds a female and they have courtship, they're going to make baby octopuses. This is very hard on the male octopus's physical system, and they die, and quite soon after the mating.
好 as with 就如同大多数的章鱼的品种一样，那雄性的 珍珠章鱼呢，它们 die shortly after mating， 它们在交配完之后很快就会死去。 Shortly 就是 in a short time， soon 的意思。
Their bodies become a rich food source for fish, shrimp, and sea stars in this thriving ecosystem. If thriving, it means that you're not just surviving, you're doing really, really well. And of course, those fish, shrimp, and sea stars in turn become food again for the other octopuses in the system.
所以 thriving 就是蓬勃发展的，生机蓬勃的。所以这些死掉的这些雄章鱼，交配完之后死掉这些雄的章鱼的尸体呢，会成为一个 a rich food source， 一个很丰富的一个 food source， 食物来源。对于谁来讲是丰富的食物来源呢？对于鱼啊、虾啊，还有这个 starfish 海星来讲，在这样的一个蓬勃发展的一个欣欣向荣的一个 ecosystem 生态系里面，其他动物都能够受益。
Dr. Berry, who led the research team, believes there are more deep-sea octopus habitats. The person in charge of this research team, he guessed, well, there's no way that we could have seen all possible pearl octopuses. So let's look further than these 823 acres, and maybe we can find out other gardens, octopus gardens.
Yeah, 所以 Dr. Berry 他怎么样？他领导这个研究团队，他相信有更多的深海章鱼 deep sea octopuses， 就是深海章鱼的一些栖息地，所以他觉得不止这些。
And he's not just saying they want to look for them, he's also kind of giving a warning to people. He's like, while one garden is protected, others may be at risk from human activities. If you are at risk, if something is at risk, it means that they're in danger.
好，所以 while 虽然 one 一个garden 一个章鱼花园 is protected， 因为他们显然发现了这个就保护它了。虽然是这样，但是呢 others 还有其他的章鱼花园 may be at risk 有风险。什么的风险呢？ From human activities， 所以他们可能有被人类的行为所侵害迫害的一个风险。
He, Dr. Berry, stresses the value of these spots. He tells us, hey, these are very important to the marine ecology,and the need to prevent damage to these gardens. Remember, when the male dies, it becomes food for fish, shrimp, starfish. Those are not octopuses. So this system that the octopuses have developed in their gardens further enriches their immediate environment.
所以 he stresses 他强调两件事情。第一件事情是 the value of these spots, these locations, 这些章鱼花园地点的价值，他强调这一点。第二点强调的就是 the need to， 就需要什么东西的需要呢？需要 prevent damage， 要避免破坏 to these gardens， 就是我们一定要避免这些花园章鱼花园被破坏，他强调这样的一个必要性。
Okay, so we have some questions for you about the article. Number one is, how did the number of pearl octopuses change? How did the number change?As the research team furthered their search, continued on their search.
当研究团队进一步搜索的时候，这些珍珠章鱼的数量变化如何呢？
The answer is C. It, meaning the number, increased dramatically. It went up.
所以答案是 C， 大幅增加。
Number 2, why did the octopuses gather together in a small, narrow crack off the coast of California?
为什么章鱼会聚集在加州沿海的小窄缝当中呢？
Well, their purpose was D, to mate and care for eggs.
答案是 D， 目的是为了交配还有照顾它们的卵。
And number 3, what is an advantage? One of the advantages that the pearl octopuses get from laying their eggs in warmer water?
那珍珠章鱼将卵产在比较温暖的水域当中的优势是什么呢？
The answer is B. Their eggs will hatch in a much shorter time, in like 1/3 the time.
答案是 B， 它们的卵可以在更短的时间之内孵化。
And finally, number 4, which of the following is not covered in the passage?
以下哪一项在文章当中没有被提及？
Well, that, of course, would be A, detailed information about different octopus species.
答案是 A， 有关不同章鱼品种的详细资讯。
That's it for today's article. Hope you learned something from it and enjoyed learning at the same time with us. Until the next time we get together,
Bye-bye.